All right, guys, welcome to 5 Things You Should Know About In the Tall Grass by Stephen King and Joe Hill before the Netflix movie comes out.
Number 1. This is based on a novella by Stephen King and his son, who writes under the pen name Joe Hill. Hill says the novella inspired by stories his dad used to make up about Spider-Man. Peter Parker would always be on vacation wherever we were, and something would always happen to his bowels. The threat of death was bad enough, but the threat of humiliation was worse. Between projects, Hill felt inspired to write something spontaneous. They put together a first draft for In the Tall Grass in just 12 days.
Number 2 is this should probably be watched in stereo or Dolby surround sound. Kansas Dolby, if you will. You can probably see in the trailer that people frequently get lost. Hearing people in the maze and trying to distance and guess whether they're on your left or right is something the director will most likely play with from an audio perspective. Or even in the book, they talk about someone saying help me, with the help being heard on the left and the me being heard on the right. So make sure you have the right speakers when first checking out this movie.
Third thing that you should know is that you can read this novella for free. In the description down below, we will put the link where you can go to Esquire.com and you can read part 1 and part 2 for no charge.
Number 4 is that this was directed by Cube director Vincenzo Natali. He was the director behind the TV shows Hannibal and Westworld, and he's been quoted to say, "I'll never forget when I was a kid. I was fascinated, of course, with monsters and monster movies, and I'll never forget my dad saying to me, the real monsters are human beings, and it really affected me." Expect him to play with the horrors of what it means to be a human and to lose humanity as these characters are lost in this grass maze.
That brings me to number 5. This story is incredibly gory. Natali said, quote, "The film contains the most shocking thing in that story, which if anyone has read it, they will know exactly what I'm speaking of. We don't pull any punches," end quote. Natali had a lot of work to do, put enough meat on the bones of the story to sustain a full-length feature film. Fans of the source material will note that the first 20 minutes are exactly faithful to the story, down to even lines of dialogue. But as Natali's story unfolds, he does start to take some swings and liberties and further enrich King and Hill's story.
So with that said, this movie has not come out. It'll be coming out on October 4th, so hopefully these help prepare you if you haven't had a chance to read it. If you have had a chance to read it, head on over to our review video where we talk about this story in depth, about some of the hidden meanings and what the ending might really mean to this story. With that, guys, hit the subscribe button to stay tuned to more Stephen King and other literary fiction analysis.